Yeah. This is Assimilated. It's a pilot written by Hayward, Crawford. Act 1, exterior Wyatt Art and Musical Festival Day. Vibrant lights hang between gritty city streets, revealing a festive block party reeking of hipster vibes. Masses of young people dancing mindlessly on back porches, back alleys, and city streets as the bands on different stages throughout the area rock on. We land in front of Preston, 20s black, clean-cut, cool, calm and collected, who's staring right at whoever's in front of him. Upbeat, Preston takes in his surroundings and the weight of it all.
Now, I'm sure you didn't think I had it in me, but I did. No thanks to you or anybody else but me. Only me. I bet on me.
Preston caressing a mysterious golden ring on his finger.
You have the same fire too. I'm just a late bloomer. Took me a while to catch up.
Preston's razor-sharp eye contact, gazing directly into the camera with a glowing trance. He sweetens the influence with some grand hand gestures, beautifully complementing his charismatic proposal as it comes to a close.
As I say, a rising tide lifts all boats. We can have it all. I'll lead. Now, what do you say?
A beat, Preston, in anticipation, raises his arms for a handshake, only for a balled-up fist collide with his face. KO. Yelps of the empathetic pain from the crowd as Preston goes flying off what is revealed to be the corner of a concert stage. The crowd backs away from the looming impact. Preston landing back first on the street. Concert goer 1 cracks up laughing at him laid out on the hard concrete.
That's what you get.
A space forms around him quicker than a homeless man reeking of piss, no one coming to his aid. Preston lets out a restrained cry in pain. Security bouncers, seeing the commotion, try to make their way towards the crowd, circle, but it's too thick of people. Concert goer number 2 right next to him.
Dude, you're not about to ruin my good time. You get out of here.
Concert goer 2 starts kicking him. Preston tries to cover the blows in self-defense while looking towards the stage. The mysterious shadowed figure who just knocked him down stands on the stage, stares at him. In a fitful rage, Preston shoots off a transparent force field towards the stage, surrounding the concert goers scattered like roaches at the sight of it. The mysterious shadowed figure takes a giant superhuman leap off the stage, high in the air, then disappears into the crowd. Half the crowd gasps in disbelief, along with the surrounding security bouncers dropping their jaws. The other half continues partying unaware. The band playing didn't catch what just happened. The band playing didn't catch what just happened either.
What the fuck?
Preston, injured, proceeds crawling the other way to escape. Some patrons begin to scram, other concert goers continue partying. The security bouncers make their way towards him.
You want me? Come on.
He looks ahead and sees 5 plainclothes stone-faced goons about 100 feet ahead, pushing their way through the crowd, heading towards him. Another strike of pain shoots up his shoulder and agonized Preston continues crawling away, now in the other direction from the goons closing in.
Shit.
As the goons forcing their way through the crowd, they scuff 1 too many sneakers and bump into 1 too many of someone's girl. Multiple fights begin to break out. Different party goers are violently launched in the air and out the way by the mysterious shadowed figure making its way to Preston. Beat.
I guess.
Cut to black.
Assimilate the set. It'll all be worth it, the set.
Title card assimilated. Present day. Exterior city of Wyatt Day. Wyatt, decaying Midwestern city. Lately, like many other cities, is on the verge of gentrified second coming in the artist scene. Preston, from the first scene, appears scrawny, jittery, nappy hair, walking alongside Mac Birmingham, late 20s, poised, black preppy meets Hotep, and Charlotte Charlie Finney, 20s white tomboy with a fitted cap. Chill through the desolate city. It's cloudy, chilly, and occasionally noisy. I might not have given anybody Charlie.
It's me. I've got a...
Oh, you've got a...
Yeah. Shit, this gallery coming up, my guy. Not really sure what pieces I want to go with on this one.
Charlie, you got this. You should go with the 3rd piece in your sculpture series.
Preston walking along with a deck of cards, shuffling them back and forth from one hand to the other.
Pick a card, any card.
Charlie puts a hand up, clearly declining the offer.
Man, I told you, P. Get out of here with that Houdini shit.
Mac chuckles along, Preston smirks, shrugs his shoulders and shoves cards in his back pocket.
Yeah, save that foolishness for the circus. Are you an artist or a magician?
Come on, man, what do you think?
Neither.
Charlie bursts out a laugh. Preston takes the burn like a man.
Charlie, so I heard you might have an interested buyer.
Mac, leading the pack, rolls his eyes, occasionally looking back as Charlie and Preston walk side by side.
Oh, word, you mean I'm one of the ceramic boys?
Preston lights up with positivity. Charlie continues listening intently.
Both, actually. One of the collectors I had in the trade, she's actually quite well versed in the...
Oh, fuck that, Charlie. Look,
Preston looks up in awe.
that woke white liberal expressionist style is still a thing out there. Don't get me wrong, but I'm sure buyers of that clout are burned out with the generic bleeding heart liberal shtick.
The trio walk in front of an Ethiopian diner.
Well, I think it's good. These are very defining times we're in. America is nothing more than a system of systematic racism and oppression, and I think our piece authentically expresses that.
Yeah, be a lifelong victim of oppression. Blame the white man for everything that's happened to me, or don't have and take no responsibility. Got it.
Interior, Ethiopian diner, exit. Exterior. No, that can't happen. Can't be exterior and interior. Matt walks up to the front register and pulls out his wallet while Preston and Charlie wait by the door.
Well, who sold pieces at 3 of the last galleries?
Preston goes silent a beat. Charlie says nothing too.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
Not a peep.
Exactly. Only thing selling right now is anything to do with Africa. Pan-African movement is where it's at.
The young, pretty hostess who walks up.
When in doubt, just throw some charcoal paint over it. Black is hot again. Gotta ride the wave.
Mac turns to the pretty young hostess.
Order for Mac?
Young, pretty hostess hands him his carry-out order.
Thank you, my queen.
The young, pretty hostess, blushing, holds back her chuckles. Charlie and Preston exchange looks of annoyance. Last one out the door. Preston attempts an awkward, flirty smirk at young, pretty hostess. She cringes, crash and burn. Exterior, Wyatt Street's day. Mac chomping on his food as he walks. Charlie with her head down, hands in her pocket, hitting a blunt deep in thought, perhaps as Preston digging through something in his satchel.
Well, how can you eat them?
They're black owned.
That didn't stop the health department from shutting them down.
I always like to give my African brothers and sisters the benefit of the doubt. The white man always trying to keep us from shining. Quit hating on your own people, Preston.
Preston shakes his head. Charlie pulls out a homemade rolled blunt and begins puffing. Mac continues chomping away at his food. The trio continue heading towards a towering, aged warehouse building, several stories high, planted right off a busy freeway. Interior art studio day. The trio arrives into a large warehouse space set against a gritty brick wall that takes up the whole floor. Mac finishes up his carry-out, free-throwing the empty box into the garbage as he gives what up nods to the other artists working. Charlie and Preston follow in tow. Throughout the floor, various artworks cubes compete with slanted drafting desks and pottery stations.
I don't know how I'm going to make it through next month. I kill myself. I have to ask my folks for someone to hold me over.
What do you mean, P? Your old man giving you a hard time again?
My day job laid me off. Lack of seniority, they said. It's not like my heart's close to paying the bills.
Boo-hoo, ha-ha, tell Mrs. Totems I said hi. Come on, man, you're resourceful. Have you started looking at other places to work?
The trio walks to their station next to each other. The three walk up to a large visual sculpture towards the center of the room. They surround it like it's the hottest girl at a party. Mac runs his fingers along the side of it with precision and care.
Well, gentlemen, at least our collaborative entry piece is really coming along.
Mac begins inspecting it like a neighborhood mechanic.
So I'll give it another coat later on. Preston, smooth out the finish on the side there, and
Preston nods in agreement. Charlie continues hitting the blunt, watching intently.
Charlie, go easy on the sculpting next go around, all right?
Man, you just do you, right?
The three mosey back over to their workstations. As they get settled, we see Hector, 30s Latino, larger than life, owner of the art studio, enters from another room. His shade will cut you in half.
Never mind my favorite Oreo cookie trio of matrons.
Preston, Mac, and Charlie all look up in bewilderment.
The long lost Huxtable Nino Preston, the unapologetically Black Mark X.
Mac throws up a black fist, playing along while setting up his canvas.
And the creamy vanilla ice Charlie to sandwich in the middle.
Charlie, finishing her blunt, shakes her head as she puts it out.
You cray, Hector. You're gonna get in trouble one of these days, bro.
Oh, honey, don't give me that me too shit. You know you're clearly not my type.
Hector turns his head with a smirk.
Mac, on the other hand.
Mac looks straight at his canvas and continues painting, surrounded by dozens of black paint brushes, not breaking eye contact, remaining perfectly still. Oh, sorry. One page in the wrong place. It's as if Hector is the Jurassic Park T-Rex and Mac knows his vision is based on movement. Hector laughs it off, then turns around.
Preston.
I know.
The rent.
I know.
Hector continues his taunts as he walks towards him, giving different amusing gestures, several other artists eavesdropping, crack a smile at Hector's entertaining over-the-top theatrics.
La renta.
I'm sorry, but listen.
Mi dinero.
So here's the deal.
Late again.
Hector, you're going to let me explain?
Suppongo.
Hector folds his arms, stank face.
So like I mentioned, my other day job, I got laid off.
Fired.
Thanks, Mac.
Mac smiles as he continues his work. Charlie cracks a too big laugh from it and begins coughing heavily. So, oh, sorry.
So I just need another week or two. I got a pretty sure prospect lined up.
Another giant cough from Charlie. Hector and Preston distracted glance over at her. She continues coughing heavily. Mac walks up to her with a water bottle.
The fuck is this? Amateur hour? Come on, sis.
Preston rolls his eyes and looks back at Hector, continues explaining as Charlie keeps coughing heavily in the background.
So if they hire me in, I'll get paid before the first. I swear it.
Okay, big boy. Just wanted to test you a bit. Haha.
Hector chuckles, giving Preston a fake, friendly, small punch in the shoulder, perhaps a little too hard.
Ah,
Pequena pero.
yeah, it doesn't help my art hadn't been selling much at all lately on top of that. Hell, barely even was before.
I know it's hard times out there. I get it. Not everybody parents can privilege them with whatever, unlike some vagabonds we know.
That's it. There we are.
The end.
Sorry, just got a message from my mum's carer. So, first of all, I think we should apologise for
Our whiteness and Britishness.
and our Britishness. Yes, I was aware halfway through how British we sounded, and probably except for some of you who were making a fabulous job of not being British, but some of us, like me, for instance, are probably not reading this properly at all. Plus, my brain is a bit fried. Yeah, thoughts, Emma?
Oh, let me just get my notebook. I did write a couple down. Yeah, some of the time I wasn't sure whether I wasn't understanding it properly or whether it was always written with, you know, the kind of, you know, most fluent, you know, sort of action there. I wasn't entirely sure, but I had a few things. On page one, I wasn't really sure what I was picturing. Preston on the stage, you know, was he talking to somebody in the audience? Was he talking to us? Was he talking to, you know, somebody who was performing on stage? I couldn't quite work that out. And obviously it's meant to be a bit mysterious. There's a sort of mysterious figure and a ring, which seems a bit magic-y, because early Preston, of course, is seems suddenly to have all these powers that the Preston that we meet in the, you know, post title is quite powerless, it seems. So I'm interested to see what's happened in between times. It says he proposes, he has a charismatic proposal, and I don't know what that means. There's quite a lot of similes in the action, and I wonder if sometimes they're a bit confusing, you know, when they say several times it's like, you know, he is like, it's like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, or so and so is like such and such. And I don't know whether that's helping us visualize much. A post title, it says present day, and I was wondering when it was before, because it seems to me like a different time. Weirdly, post title, it seems like the 80s. I don't know why, but I was thinking about Basquiat and those sort of artists that they had then, and just your stories about art school and things. It somehow got this sort of 80s feel. But I think it's interesting that it's about art, and it's funnier actually read aloud than it was when I was reading it in my own head. I'm having to keep looking things up all the time. What does that mean? Does that really mean little bits? Yes, it does, and things like that. So it's been quite interesting finding out new words. So thank you for the new words.
Brilliant, thank you. Rachel.
Yeah, sure. I've got some similar stuff. Probably leave some of those bits of action to the director and the actors. They'll know what they're doing, and from the style of your script, I don't think they're going to go wrong. They're quite I think the characters themselves are sort of well thought out, and they've got a personality. It comes through straight away, so you don't need to worry about that amount of sort of direction. Save yourself some script space for more bits of the story or all sorts of things. I liked the sculpture stuff as well. It was very interesting. I'd like to see where that goes. And yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Stuart, thoughts?
When I first read this afternoon, and then again when I just heard it read, I had this image straight away in my head. It was almost like you were in a computer game for me. It was like a fantastical city. It was sort of conjured up images of Grand Theft Auto for some reason for me. It was like slightly edgy. Something weird's going on with this fantastical, mysterious, dark figure and the fight and the staging and all that. And then it kind of moves into a kind of more normal story about the art students and their exhibition and the gallery and stuff. So it was kind of messing with my head a bit, if I'm honest. But I did like the sort of art, the sort of angle of art and what's current and what sells and that kind of whole, the art industry and the art world. So that could be potentially quite interesting as the story develops. But I'm not sure where the fantasy side comes in on that. And again, like Preston, I sort of, he came across as a bit of a narrator to me. And some of it was a bit wordy. There was one particular bit where it said, I'm trying to find it now. I should have made it. There we go. Page 5, where he says, America is nothing more than a system of systematic racism and oppression. And I thought, oh, that sounds a bit clunky to me. A system of systematic oppression or racism. And it came across slightly preachy a bit to me, if I'm honest.
That's the character, though, isn't it? I think he was supposed to think that they take the piss out of him for being like that, don't they?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, just for me, it sort of jumped out a bit as being a bit.
You're perhaps just picking up on that system of systematic, sort of a repetition of the words, really.
Maybe. Yeah.
And maybe could you just use a different word for the first system?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think at the moment.
But anyway, other than that, yes, interesting first 10 pages.
Thanks. Rory.
Yeah, I found it intriguing, but I think what struck me about going through it this evening is in a former life I used to be an illustrator, and it reads like the script for like a comic book.
Interesting.
It's really very. I mean, that's how I was imagining it as we were reading it.
Wow.
Very kind of pow wallop kind of. The whole thing sounds very, very comic book, like the kind of the composition of the pictures that the writer's creating for us is absolutely like comic book frames. So there's a lot of that. Sort of those. I think that is sort of getting in the way of it being a screenplay, because it's thinking very much in that sort of format. And Emma's noted down, yeah, Blade Runner. Yeah, this is sort of the fantasy element at the beginning is kind of, yes, the sort of suggested Blade Runner stuff. And yeah, I think it's just over described. And I agree with Rachael that, yeah, give the creatives some space to actually make it work rather than trying to dictate really specifically to them how to do everything.
Okay, thanks. Cool. Catherine.
Yeah, sorry about missing my cue then. I was too busy thinking about the script because it did confuse me a little bit. I think I may have answered my own question as to why it was confusing. I think the characters were very well written. The dialogue was very distinctive, and it was obvious who was talking and what they were like, and you could picture them and you could hear them. They were very well written. Unfortunately, I think what's happened with the action is that's been written as dialogue. It's been written as a character, and that's why it's confusing. It needs to be completely separate. It needs to be, that's the script, the dialogue is the action. It shouldn't be written colloquially or as a conversational-esque thing, because there was certain bits and it needs a bit of a proofread. But there was a bit that confused me. I don't know if I just read it wrong. I can't remember what page it was on, but it says the pretty hostess who walks up, full stop. And that's not a complete sentence, is it? I was like, who does what? What? And that's why I was reading back and trying to figure out what I was reading. And that's why I missed my cue. So apologies. But it was intriguing and it was interesting. Again, yeah, with the when is it? Where is it? You know, if you're going to have the action and the information needs to be separate from the dialogue, and it needs to be informative. But other than that, I thought it was quite interesting. Once I got over the confusion of it, I'd like to know what happens next. So well done, but definitely well done on writing the characters. They were very well written.
Thank you. John.
Pretty much what everybody else has said, but I have to be brutally honest. I'm away from the queue here, I know. I didn't enjoy it. I found the characters quite stereotypical. You know, there's the white girl who hangs around with the coloured chaps. There's a coloured chap with a chip on his shoulder. And there's the other one who's basically an apologist for being black. So it did nothing for me personally.
Okay, cool, thank you. Ian.
I'm glad we had the log line, because otherwise I'd been very confused with the opening scene and then how it went from there. But I liked it. I mean, I liked that fact that we had the new Preston at the beginning. We got, sort of a picture of him, his future, and that drew me in. So I really liked that. I liked the other characters. I thought they had a good relationship. I did agree with Rory. I think it was over descriptive, particularly in the first section. I just thought there was far too much there. And I didn't understand the diner scene. I didn't see the point of what the diner scene was doing. It didn't really move it along.
Yeah.
But I like that. I would like to know more about it. I liked it in general. There's a few typos, things like that, in place and time as usual, but I liked it.
Brilliant, thank you. Thing that I picked up on was, if you can't really, it's the same thing really that everybody said. Page 3 when we go to present day, but there's no indication on page 1 that we're in the past. So I think the assumption is always, if there is no indication of what time it is, it's always in the present.
Yeah.
So we're going from the present to the present. Would just be good to have when it was. Just telling us that it's this town of Wyatt might not be enough. You might need to locate it in a state or somewhere. If not the country, we've worked out that it's the States, but it would be good to know where it was. I love that it's about art, and I like that. I like the whole idea of it, and I would definitely like to know what happens next. And I like the characters. I think, just like everybody else, there's way too much description in those first 2 or 3 pages. Where I get it, you're just trying to set the scene, but it reads more like a novel than it does a script. So you just have to think they're instructions. They have to be instructions with a story, rather than a story with very few instructions. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. I'd like to know what happens next. Thank you so much. Hope that was okay.